Hey, welcome everybody. Great to have you on the call. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, just type in development. Development. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, type in development into the chat and we will get going real soon. Hmm. Awesome. So today we're just going to specifically be focused on some of the important settings within the mood swing tool, the upgraded version, and how we should interpret certain things, right? So let's get into it. Let's dig into it. All right, just a number one in the chat if you're seeing my screen there. Awesome. By the way, I don't know who caught this move to the upside. Who caught this move to the upside when that happened during the Asian session? I think you did. Well done. Congratulations, Alice. And then who caught this move to the downside? Now, the price would have dropped, but you can see here it retested the zone and then is dropped off. Okay. Entry was at that level, it dropped off over 200 pips before a retrace. Oh, well done. Well done. Who is absolutely loving the upgrade though? All right, so at a glance, you should be able to see what direction we want to go in and so forth and so forth. All right, excellent. So just put my video on. Hello, everybody. Great. So let's explore the mood swing tool and let's see what's in there. Somebody saying something. Hi. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. So to get to the mood swing settings, all right, we have to click on the mood swing name here, just under where we have the asset that you're trading and the prices. Just under there, it's a little arrow. See the up arrow? It might be hiding. All right, so just click on that arrow and it will show which tool is on your screen. And we just go all the way out to the settings. Now you mightn't have this whole long name here. It's probably just called MOODSWING 3.6 on your end. Just go to settings here. And the first bit of settings that you'll see is the input. The next tab is style. And the next tab is visibility. Visibility is quite easy. You could just put on which charts, right, you want to be able to see this thing on in terms of time frames. Okay. Style, we have certain things in here. Like, for example, we could switch on the longs and the shorts, right? The bulls and the bears. Mood up and mood down. Okay. So we could switch those things on if we choose to. Now with the new upgraded version, what happens is, in fact, I'll talk about that a bit later on. Okay, we could also switch on or off the boxes. So if we go boxes here, click that off, you'll notice that the order blocks have disappeared. Okay, so the order blocks have disappeared here when you switch your boxes off. You could switch that back on. Labels. So the pricing labels, let me just zoom in a little further so you'll be able to see this, see what happens. Right, so there we go. So let's go back to settings here. If we click the labels, you could see here that the entry price, the stop loss, and the take profit target prices have all disappeared. Right, for the most part, you probably just want that on, right? Line fill, well, you can see here that if you don't want that color that's filling in the take profit targets and the stop loss, you could actually switch that off. Okay, so you'll just see the trade setup looking something like this, which might help to make things a little bit cleaner for you. And let's let some people in. So yeah, that might be a bit cleaner for you if you want it. So that's fine. And then there is lines. If you switch that off, then any of the lines on your chart, which includes the mood swing level, or not the mood swing level, sorry, but the fair price level and the level of the trade entries, those will all disappear. Okay, you probably want to leave that one on. Right, this input in status line, I'm gonna switch that off, so that my mood swing tool up here, it becomes less long, if you see what I mean, right? I don't need to see that. Right, values as well on the status line, I don't need to see that. That's up here. I don't need to see that, so I could switch that off. Okay, right. Let's go to inputs. And if we go to inputs, this is where a lot of the action is. So let's start with trade MS risk method, right? So this is one of the trading methods that we could use to get entries into the market. This, somebody has a question. What is 3 in the 1, 2, 3? So the 1, 2 is when we have an order block and either bulls or longs show up, right? So right here, where we have the order block here and the bulls and longs show up, that is a 1, 2. The 3 is when we have this mood swing level nearby here as well. So that's the 3. Whenever we have a 1, 2, 3, is always a strong mover. That's why I always say a 1, 2, 3 setup is more powerful than just a normal 1, 2. See the 1, 2s here? These are 1, 2s, right? And they moved a little bit, but when we get 1, 2, 3s, that's a pretty big move, okay? Let me see whether I could find another 1, 2, 3, but at least to the downside. So let me just see if I put shorts, bears on, and I want to change my internal order blocks to, let's say, 10. Okay, that. You can't change the color of the mood swing line, and that is because these colors represent something that is very important. Okay, so let's say, for example, the price starts trading above the mood swing line right here. It turns green to represent the market mood changing to be positive. If it starts trading below the mood swing line, it shows red. And that tells me that the market sentiment and mood is to the downside. So we can't change those colors because those colors represent something. You could change the colors of the fair price line, right? But we haven't really touched on trading the fair price line that much. But you could change the color of the fair price line if you want. So if we go back to our settings here, and we go to inputs, and we scroll all the way down, you see fair price color right here. We could actually change that to, let's see, blue if we want to, right? Give it a strong opacity and hit OK, and you'll see that purple change to blue. Yes, correct. The fair price line is the POC, correct. Right? So that could change, but that is not as important to us as the mood swing level. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so the mood swing level will always be green or blue, or red. The fair price line will be whatever color you want it to be. Now, previously, we actually had it as a very bright pink, but somebody wanted it changed so that they don't get confused with the mood swing level, which was red. So that's why we changed it to that color, right? So, but you could change it to whatever color that you want to, right? I'll leave it as, for me, I'll just leave it as maybe turquoise or something, right? So it's totally different. So there we go. All right. So don't get confused. So notice here, when we start getting, like let's say, for example, this is a 1, 2, 3 right here where we have the order block, we have the bears and shorts, and then we have the mood swing level here as red. That is a 1, 2, 3. Okay. And those 1, 2, 3s are really very powerful. Like this here yesterday, that was a 1, 2, 3 as well to the upside. Very, very powerful move. Okay. So I'm going to switch off these bulls and bears. So so let's go back to the trade MS risk method, and you'll understand what that is. So if we switch that on, what it will give you is it will give you a trade setup at the mood swing level. Okay, that is all we'll do. It will be literally stationed or stagnant at the mood swing level and give you a trade setup there. You'll notice here that price comes back. You see how price respects this mood swing level here and then pushes up. So the mood swing level is actually a very key and important level in price movement, right? We are the only ones that have access to this. Nobody else knows our little secret here. But look at this, right? We have a mood swing level here. Price respects it and drops. The next day, it drops below the mood swing level. It retests the mood swing level and then drops. The next day, it retests the mood swing level here and then drops. The next day, it retests the mood swing level here and then drops. Okay? Unless you have this tool, you wouldn't understand these lines whatsoever, right? Only us in the mood swing community have this little secret. Look at, I mean, so it's not perfect every day, but you could see how key and important this is. So let's do a replay, right? So let's do a replay right here, and let's see how that would have played out if we actually had the trade MS switched on. All right, let me just replay this a little bit. Right, so if we had the trade MS switched on, just go back to here, put trade MS switched on. Now, when it comes to low risk, we could, if we click down here, we see low risk, medium risk, high risk. That it depends on the size of our stop loss. So low risk just simply means that we have a bigger stop loss. I would say put it at 1,000. That just means 100 pips, 1,000 pipettes. Medium, leave it as 700, and high, leave it as 500. So that's 50 pips, 70 pips, or 100 pips. So in the settings here as well, we have a sweet spot zone. That is 20 pips. So that will be 10 pips above the mood swing line, 10 pips below. And then we could set and we could choose how many take profit targets we have. Now, the first profit target will be the same size as the stop loss. So if your stop loss, if we choose low risk here, the stop loss will be 100 pips. So then the first take profit targets will be 100 pip take profit target. The second one will be 200, third one will be 300, etc., etc. All right. If we switch this to medium risk, then we'll have a 70 pip stop loss, and then our first take profit target will be 70 pips. Second one will be 140. Third one will be 210, and so forth and so forth. Okay? And so you understand the maths. Let's go back to low risk. So you see here, switch it to low risk, and then it will automatically adjust to suit. You see that? It adjusts to suit the pip amount. So right here, we would have had a trade setup waiting for price to pull back into that area. And this trade setup would have been just there waiting for us, okay? So let's play this out and see what happens. Something looked fishy there. Let me just stop that. Let's go again. Yes, it did fill the gap out, for sure. Right, so when we're looking at, let's say, trade the mood swing level, doesn't really matter what time frame you're on, because Well, say it doesn't really matter. It kinda does and it kinda doesn't, but I'll say anywhere between the 5 minute to the 1 hour, even the 4 hour, that mood swing level will just be there, and the trade setup would be at that mood swing level. So, anyways, you could see that price actually came up there, tapped us in on the mood swing level, and then dropped off. Quite significant drop as well. Right, so that was over 500 pips, and then the next day we had another. If we had the trade mood swing set on, look, we had another trade set up at the mood swing level here, and you see price dropped off. It came back, it tapped it, and then dropped off again. Right, so let's continue playing. Right, so right here, let me just pause it. As price broke above the the mood swing level here, you see we had a potential buying opportunity, and then, well, kind of price came back there, came back into the sweet spot. It pushed up. Let's see what happened, whether we got stopped out or not. Right, so in this case we got stopped out um on this particular trade. If we trade in the mood swing level, we got stopped out here. That's fine, but then the next day we just it just tapped into the mood swing level here and then dropped off for a nice trade to the downside. Again, that's over 500 pips. Right? So you see here, it identified the mood swing level. That one got stopped out. It's going kind of fast. All right. So on these 2 days, the price didn't really respect the mood swing level that great. So it got stopped out there. But then you notice on this day, it respected the mood swing level and then it dropped off. Okay, so it's kind of this is why important your risk management is still pretty important, because it's not perfect, but it's very, very good in terms of giving you an edge. So here we got 1,400 pips to the downside. All right, let's continue. So of course the mood swing level here was red, so it was just saying pretty much we should be looking for sells on that day. That's the mood of the market. So when you have that on, at least you have a picture of where the mood of the market is generally wanting to go. Okay, let's play this. Mm, Right, things changed for the buy, and you can see here we had the buy setup, but stopped out. That one dropped. Right? So that is the trade mood swing feature. The thing about it is, if the price is ranging around that area, sometimes it will switch from a buy and switch to a sell if this ranging around that area. So that's one thing that you need to be aware of, right? So let's leave that and let's now go back to the settings, and we could switch that off. We could come back to here, trade the order block now. So if we want to trade the order block, now this is where things get juicy. So this is the new upgrade. And if we want to trade the order block, then you see what happens here. The trade setups will happen when there is a 1-2 or a 1-2-3. Now remember the rules of the 1-2 or the 1-2-3 is that we have an order block and then we have a bulls or a bears that's broken out above the order block, right? So but we need to see those two things happen. Now, we don't need to put on our longs and shorts or bulls and bears here because the program will automatically create that trade setup once those conditions are met. If you want to visually see it, by all means, you could put on your longs and bulls here, but you don't necessarily have to put it on because the trade setup is telling you that a longs or a bulls has appeared, or a bears and a short in the case of a selling opportunity. So right here last night, I'll go down to a smaller time frame. Last night when there was the opportunity for a buy, let's replay. Yeah. Right. So you see that the bulls and the longs came in. Let's go back to settings. So the size of this trade setup will all depend on the size of the order block, right? So there's no setting in there to change the size of the stop loss. It's just based on the size of your order block. All right. Where it says max distance here, that means that the bulls or the bears need to show up within 10 of these candles, right? After the order block here, and it will show the trade setup. If it's outside of that, then the trade setup wouldn't show. In terms of your stop loss, this is where you could actually increase your stop loss sizing a little bit. So at the moment it's saying like it's just 2 pips outside of your order block, but we could change that to 20 pips, right? So if I just add a 0 on there, it will adjust the stop loss and it will adjust the take profit targets as well. Yep, you see that it's changed. So that is 20 pips outside of the end of the order block. You could change that to 50 pips if you want. Just remember that this number is pipettes. So it'll just take a little time to load, depending on your speed. Right, so that's how we could change the size of our take profit target, the size of your stop loss there if you want. Well, Ivana, it means that you haven't upgraded to MOODSWING 3.6 yet then. If you don't have the option, it means that you haven't upgraded. So make sure that you upgrade your MOODSWING tool. So what do you have? 3.5? Yes, so you need to just delete it and reinstall. You could just literally close it off, delete it off of your chart, and then go back and find the MOODSWING tool, and that should be 3.6. It upgraded for everybody. So you just need to do that. Cool. So yeah, just give us a thumbs up when you've done that. We do have a time frame option here as well, where it's going to be displayed maximum time frame is going to be displayed. You could change that to, instead of 60 minutes, which is an hour, you could change that to 240. That will give you a display on the 4-hour time frame if you want. And it only says 3.5 under indicators only. This is, you've deleted the 3.5 on your chart, right? So log out of your TradingView account and then log back in. Totally log out. Close the tab, then open it again and try that. Right? Okay. So this one here is your time frame. Whatever time frame that is going to be on, then that is pretty simple to understand. All right. We got some folks coming in a little bit late. Down here, where we have zap zones, all right, I'm not going to talk about that. That's going to confuse you too much, so we don't need to talk about that. The next bit that I'm going to talk to you about is these internal order blocks here. The number just shows how many internal order blocks are going to be displayed. It worked. Okay, there we go. All right. So just make sure that you stay involved in our conversations when we're on our private chat so you know exactly what's going on. Don't go MIA, right? So internal order blocks are simply these blue lines or this red line, supply and demand zones, if we want to call them that. Same thing. So if we are going to switch this trade order block off for now. I'm going to switch these longs off for now. Clears up our chart. So we go back here. Now, the reality is that the important order block for us is just the most recent, right? The most recent one is the important one for us. So I don't want people to get too bogged down or confused with the old ones. Now, we could use the old ones as profit targets, right? We could use them as profit targets, but we shouldn't use them as targets to take a trade off of, okay? We could use them for profit targets. If we were in this buy, we could say, all right, we're going to take a profit here. That's fine. But don't use it to take a trade for a sell. So if I play, you'll see what I mean. Okay. So if I play this through, see price pushed up there, and then it just continued and it broke through all of these order blocks. You see that? So if you were trying to look for a sell on those order blocks there, you would have been stopped out 3 times. So never look for a sell on those old order blocks. An order block is old or considered old when it's not the same day, when it's not formed the same day, right? So that was formed several days back, last week, Friday. So that's an old order block, right? The new order block is the one that's formed today, okay? So if I play this through, right? So we had the new order block here. See that? And this is where we got the trading opportunity for this afternoon. So that's the importance of not trading those old order blocks and making sure that we're trading new order blocks that were formed on the day, right? Now, we could limit the number of order blocks that we see. And again, the reality is that the most recent one is the most important. However, you may want to see some further back because we want to use them as take profit targets. So that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But don't put too much on your chart, right? Usually I say anywhere between like 5 and 10, okay? Anywhere between 5 and 10 is good enough. You really don't want to have all of that going on up there, okay? So you notice I've changed it here to 5. So if we count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the last 5 will show up on your chart. Okay. And then the next setting that I want to show is this fair value gap. Now, of course, you notice that the fair value gap could prove to be a place where we have some really nice trading opportunities. Like, say, for example, last night, price came all the way right down here, came back to this fair value gap right here, and then took off to the moon. So, if you have a fair value gap and then you get to order block and you get the bulls, game over, right? That is a strong, strong buying opportunity. With the fair value gap, you guys don't even know how powerful this tool is, man. I'm telling you, sleeping on it. You're sleeping on it. I think I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna shut it down after this month because you're not taking it seriously. Fair value gap here. We could change the length the fair value gap is. So that 20 simply means that there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It literally is just 20 bars that it will cover. But we could change that to 30, right? So it'll just cover 30 candles. So give it a moment. It takes a little while to think, but when it loads, it'll load. Right? So you could extend it or you could make it shorter. So instead of 30, we could make it 5 or even 1. So let's change it to 5 and just see the difference. Okay, so you see it shows up a little bit shorter. Personally, I think that for visual, it's better to have it longer than shorter. So I'll keep it on 30. And yeah, so you see price came. If you had it on, then you're conscious that this is an area that we could potentially see a reaction off of. I mean, look at that. Beautiful reaction off of that to the upside. And then here's what, when price actually starts moving and creating those fair value gaps, you know in your heart of hearts, hey, we're still pretty much trending to the upside here because it's creating these fair value gaps to the upside. So the trend is pretty much to the upside. What we do have to consider is that we could potentially get a pullback to those fair value gaps. In this case, the momentum was very strong to the upside, so we hardly got any pullback, except like up here, we had a little bit of a pullback to the fair value gap here, and then we had the continuation push to the upside. So the fair value gaps as well is going to help you with understanding that the market is still pretty much trending upwards, right? So if you miss this move down here, then we could consider getting in on a pullback to the fair value gap, okay? One thing that you could have on as well is if the market is trending up, we could put on our bulls here, okay? Or let's see, longs. Yeah, just keep the bulls on, I would say, right? So that if we get pulled back to a fair value gap on our bulls, then we could definitely be looking for some buying action here as well. Okay. The same goes for shorts. So back in our inputs here, let's see what's another important thing. Ah, so this is one that we haven't really used that much, but you could definitely consider it. And this is what is called the premium and discount zones. So when the zone is premium, somebody's trying to come in. There we go. So we click that on. Let's see what happens. Give it a moment to think. Right. So premium zone, it kind of shows up as if it was one of these supply and demand zones, but it's just showing that, hey, the price has kind of overextended, right? So that's why we're getting a little bit of a pullback here. Um, this was actually a 1-2 trade setup as well. So that's kind of a double confirmation for that sell-off that came earlier. Equilibrium, right? It shows here. It's kind of even showing right at our mood swing level here. And that kind of gives us uh, an idea of what we call probably a balance after this extension. Could potentially see a pullback back into this equilibrium zone here, right? So we could use that as a target. Discounted, right? So usually that is at the bottom of where the move to the upside or where the move to the downside started, usually at the bottom of it. So, we could use that as a target as well for probably liquidity sweeps or whatever. And that will hold true for the different time frames that you're on as well. So if we click down to 5-minute time frame, for example, it will kind of give us the premium and discounts on that time frame itself. So you see that here. So we had premium on this level. The discount is going to be below this little spike here, so forth and so forth. So that's something to explore as well. We don't really use it that much, but I know a few people that actually do. Right? I'm going to switch it. I'm going to switch it off. Anyways. So all in all, that is it. I mean, you could actually change the color of your order blocks here as well. So you see internal order block bullish. You could change that from being blue to being green if you want, right? So if I switch that, you see it changed to green here, right? So you could change it in the settings there if you want. I'm gonna put it back as blue. Okay. We could decide if we want to show a strong or weak highs, right? So right here where it says it's a weak high, it just means that hey, well, we got 2 taps to it and then a pullback. Potentially we could use that as a zone where there's going to be some stop hunting going on. Okay. So that one means. That's what that one means. There's some other things in here like the show internal structure. Well, where you see in this BOS, which is breakup structure, or CH um, C CHOCH, that's change of character, right? And EQH, which is equal highs, um, or EQL, which is equal lows. That is what the show internal structure means. We could actually just switch that off if we don't want to see all of that, because it could get confusing seeing too many things on the chart. So you see it disappears right here, right? Show equal highs and lows, we could switch that off as well so that we could clear the chart up a little bit and just focus on the 1-2 or 1-2-3 methods. And pretty much that's it, right? Any questions at all? Don't be shy. I always know when somebody's progressing because they ask a lot of questions. Yeah, yeah. This tool is people don't understand. I don't think they understand. All right, so you like the previous daily low, previous daily high, previous, okay. So the fair price level is simply the price at which the market traded the most on that particular day. That's all it is. Sometimes, as the mood swing level, the price would visit that level on another day, right? So you see here, this one, price pushes back to it on another day, and use that as a resistance to drop off. Okay. But it's not as clean as the mood swing level. Right? It's not as clean as the mood swing level. So that's why I don't really pay too much attention to it. If we go to settings, okay, no, I don't think we'll be able to switch that fair price line. If we don't want to see the fair price line, we could just switch this color to white or black, whichever your background is, and it kind of looks like it disappears. See what I mean? Because I don't really use it that much, right? I don't really use it that much, to be honest. I really don't. And again, you don't want too much stuff on your chart. Okay? So one of the important things to remember is our mood swing level. It will print when a new session starts in the Asian session, right? It will print when a new session starts in the Asian session. So we wouldn't see anything until around 12 midnight UK time, which will be around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. And you could drop down to like a 1 minute time frame around those times, and you would see where it starts printing from. So if the trade setup comes through and price has already taken off, there are two things that you could do. You could set a limit order, right? You could set a limit order at where the trade setup started and wait for it to pull back, like what happened here. So let's just put this on. It's side. So let's put this one on. So this one, right? So we had that happen and price dropped off. But then look at what happened here. Price came right back into that area. If you had a limit order there, it will trigger you in, and then you would have been able to get in on that trade. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Or we could wait to see if price started trending and we get fair value gaps, then we could try to get in on a pullback of the fair value gap. So like right here, if you missed that one, but a fair value gap is formed here. Just wait for this little pullback here, and you could get in on the fair value gap to the upside. We could put our stop loss just below that fair value gap, so it's still a nice, not too much of a massive stop loss, and you could ride that all the way up. Again, if you missed the move and then we saw this fair value gap and a pullback to it here, you could ride it again all the way up. Right here, we didn't really have any fair value gaps to get in at, so there was no opportunity to jump in for a sell here. We just literally waited for a pullback to the zone, and that is what happened, and then a drop off. Okay? Any other questions at all? Yeah, go ahead if you have a question. Feel free. All right, so if no more, okay, when the AI alert shows up, do we check the order blocks? Correct. So when the AI alert shows up, we check to see whether there's an order block present. Like last night, let me just replay here. Last night, we actually had this trade set up here. Right, so we had this trade set up here, but the AI alert didn't come in until probably somewhere around here. But when the AI alert comes in and then you look and you see, hey, we have a buy trade setup, you could enter the trade, right? So that's another thing. With the AI alert, you could enter the trade. Once you see the buy setup there, enter the trade for the buy immediately. And you could see that if you did enter for the buy, that would have been beautiful move. You would have at least caught minimum 500 pips to the upside, right? So the AI alerts and the scanner kind of works hand in hand for increased probabilities, okay? So high probability trades are when the AI alert and the scanner shows pretty much the same thing, or if we have a nice 1-2, right? If we have a nice 1-2-3 setup, that's a good high probability trade setup as well. Yeah, that's right. So if a sell comes in on the AI alerts, but then there is no sell setup on the tool, you could ignore it because that is not necessarily a higher probability trade. The high probability trade is when both of them marry together. And the reality is that we want right? The reality is that we want to trade the best trades. We just don't want to take trades. We want to take the best trades, right? So this is why human interaction with other tools are very important. Okay, excellent, great. So the most important thing as well is knowing when not to do anything, doing absolutely nothing. Some people think that they need to take a trade in the day. You absolutely don't. Right? But the hardest thing is doing nothing. As my dad always used to say, the hardest thing to do is doing nothing. But in trading, it is a very important skill to have. Do absolutely nothing until the stars align. Right? Great. Well, I'm happy that you found some value in the session. It is recorded, so we'll upload it and then we will post it into our educational group. You could actually share it with some people who may be interested in jumping on and getting the mood swing tool and being a part of the community. This call was actually just for the insiders, but there you go. So the question is, Connie, when are you going to start, man? When are you going to be a part of the action of the winning community? She's quiet. Alice, she's quiet. No, no, no. I said Connie. All right. Awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up there, right? We're gonna wrap it up there, and I will post this into the educational chat so that you can review and yeah, play around with these settings. But I think we have enough now to really, really crack on with the new upgrade on the tool. Right. So have a fantastic evening, everyone, and we will see each other really, really soon. Bye bye for now.